Hey everyone, welcome back to the Atlanta Startup Podcast. My name is William Leonard, your host for today, and I'm really excited to sit down with one of Valor's newest portfolio founders, Jake Soffer, who is the founder and CEO of FirmPilot. Jake, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, William.
Yeah, Jake, we've got a lot of ground to cover today, but let's start with your background. You have such a unique culmination of experiences from what you studied in undergrad to, what you recently did before Firm Pilot. But I'll let you tell that more to the audience.
Yeah, I was really lucky, fortunate to attend two great universities where I just focused on computer engineering, RPI and NYU, and via different hackathons and sponsored projects, just fell into NLP. Again, just lucky there. And this was before the big LLM boom that's going on right now, like very, very basic natural language processing stuff, and just really enjoyed it. And then from there, as you know, William, I had another startup, Rolio, which is still up and running and doing great. Another NLP company. So last 10 years, that's been my focus. And then when I was getting ready for my next adventure and leaving the Rolio team, knew I still wanted to stay in the space. It was just so familiar with me, but didn't want to force it. And of course, with all the LLM, stuff going on, NLP having its moment, another moment, knew I wanted to stay in it, but again, didn't want to force it. And luckily, my brother, who is the attorney in the family, asked me to help him with his online marketing. And that's when I was introduced to the set of activities that goes on into building a growing and scalable firm, and just had this big aha light bulb moment where I realized we can put the two together and really automate the activities that it takes to scale a firm and get more leads and build an online presence as a local service-based business, but also do it at a much higher level of performance, using data and not guess it by world. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And just give us like the overview of what Firm Pilot is doing and the core set of customers that you're looking to target.
Yeah, absolutely. In one sentence, we are a high-performing AI agency in a box. What that actually means is rather than just blog blindly or create really, really pretty social media post or do some ad campaigns and hope they work, we rely on data. So the first thing we do is understand and build the semantic bubble of, what are the keywords? What are the Google searches? What do trends look like to actually get you clients, and not just clients, but clients that you want, those types of leads. So we have to understand, what are they searching? How do they pick the firms that they pick or the businesses that they pick to work with? And then from there, we can start to analyze what it takes to be seen, to rank high, not just write based on blog content or website content based on best practices, but look at a myriad, hundreds of attributes of the high performing content. And this is where our factory or AI agency comes into play, and being able to do everything I just described in minutes or really seconds, and use all that data to craft not just content that looks nice, but is predicted to rank high and get you the clicks, the calls, the views, the clients that you want.
Yep. It's so fascinating because as I've been on the hunt for deals this year, I just saw a plethora of legal in AI companies that were doing really one thing, and that was uh, document generation and kind of document summarization for lawyers, right? And while that's an interesting use case, it's certainly not the only use case for legal software to leverage AI. And our team and we had really built a thesis around AI that can enhance legal activities, but high dollar, high margin legal activities. And I think you and I connected over the summer, and I was just like, this is incredible what you're able to do for the clients that you have now. Curious to hear how, law firms are using marketing agencies today in sort of an antiquated fashion to win business? And why are you convicted that the future of law firm marketing is going to be AI driven and AI enabled?
Totally. First off, yeah, we've actually been paying a lot of attention to a lot of the other AI tools in the legal space, from demand letters to case management. There's some really, really incredible stuff going on. Um, but what we realized was there's no law firm without clients. And it is very, very, very competitive. If we go back 10, 15 years, you could blog, do social media, do some basic ads, and you would likely find some success. But there's 460,000 plus firms in the US, 83% of which are doing this set of marketing activities that's available to them. I mean, that is a lot that you're competing with. Even if you start to cut it up by practice area and geolocation, it is competitive. And it's not good enough to just do marketing best practices anymore. There are all these little edges and vertical and edges and advantages that we look for. So what we want to do before we even just begin writing content for you is understanding what it takes to get you to the first page for keywords that are going to get you clients. So analyzing who's there, what's their page load speed, what's the format of the images, keywords, and links, and I can go on and on and on. But by being able to use all this data, we can have such a higher level of conviction. You're going to be where you need to be to get clients, or where those potential clients are looking for legal help or to answer a legal question. Yeah, it's that edge. That's why we see AI as the answer
Mhm.
and the next step.
I love it. I love that. Yeah, I think we're going to see this happen across many industries, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But given the early success of FirmPilot, when I first met you, I was looking back, our first messages and contacts with each other was on July 19th. And when we had that first conversation, I think 2 days later, the speed and velocity at which you were able to sell and close customers was something we had almost like never seen before. And you really came out the gate selling product and selling fast and efficiently. You were scaling revenue incredibly quick. I want to dive into that more and understand what was your secret or non-obvious growth hack to unlocking your first, 500,000 in annual recurring revenue in less than 12 months.
Scars. I've just done it so many times. I've been hung up on. I've gotten emails that say some nasty words, never contact me again. And it's just repetition and just doing. You can spend so much time trying to get to the perfect product before you sell, or trying to craft the perfect HubSpot or Salesforce workflow or sales message, but just go, like just go. So I have the same tools as everybody else. Write down what we should be doing, and our team says, okay, let's do these projects, but at the same time, let's spend a good amount of our time today just emailing, just calling. You should be doing that every single day. And especially as one of the founders, it should be you. There's the old saying, founder has to get the first 10 deals. Even at 1 million in ARR, 2 million, 3 million, you really still don't have scalable processes where you can just hire SDRs or AEs and put their butts in seats and say, okay, do what I did. Because you got those first 10, 15, even 30 customers in so many different ways. So one, do it yourself, and two, just do. Literally try everything that you can do quickly.
Yeah, I think I speak with a lot of founders who are, at the seed stage, pre-seed, looking to raise around whatever it may be, and they get into the use of funds, and they want to hire a head of sales at, at the seed stage. And obviously, you're crushing it with founder-led sales. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Curious to hear how you're thinking about, the balance of founder-led sales and kind of thinking about account exec and beating the SDRs. What are your thoughts around that?
Yes. Um, I've done a lot of that with different startups I've been involved with. Sometimes it works great this early stage,
Mhm.
and many times it doesn't. But why risk that? If you're the founder and you're selling, just keep going until you literally don't have the capacity. You shouldn't stop selling because you don't want to. It should be, I literally don't have the time because we have so many demos so many demos on my calendar or so many deals in the pipeline. I don't have the capacity. I have to. That's the signal. It's really funny. We're some back office SaaS tool that we're looking at purchasing. Um, I booked a demo with, and they have 800 customers. And the CEO showed up and did our demo. And I was kind of like, what the heck are you doing here? And he said, we have AEs, we have SDRs. Slowly, we're starting to add them on. But if I still have capacity to do this, why wouldn't I? When you're the founder, no one's going to sell as good as you. They just don't know the story. It's not because they're a good or bad salesperson. They just don't know the story like you and connect with it. That's why you started the company, hopefully, because you connect with it. So again, I just press don't stop selling. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the bandwidth constraint is always a conversation that happens as you begin to find product market fit, or even as you're scaling into product market fit as well. And I love your thoughts on the previous point of just hustling and getting reps and shots on goal. I know Lisa is always, saying to me like, I'm trying to get my first no of the day by like 7 a.m. So, if I'm not getting that, then I'm not working hard enough. I'm not talking to enough people. And I think that's a strong mentality to have, especially as when you're like founder of a firm or the founder of a startup, whatever it may be, there has to be hustle and grind from the leadership and leadership on down. So I resonate with that. And you've clearly been hustling, it's been working early on. Curious to hear your thoughts on like how you within your first 5-10 customers or so were able to get conviction with being such a young company that maybe you just don't have a lot of proof points, a lot of case studies. How do you get conviction from your first, second, third customer to just try out your product?
Yeah. Um, it really comes down to solving a pain. It is really, really difficult to sell something that is a vitamin or nice to have or just make something better. And something that we've realized is we're not just in the marketing business, we are in the customer business, and businesses need customers. So we've completely changed our message, and we've noticed that the introductory calls, the sales calls, discovery calls, whatever we want to call them, have gotten so much better when we've taken this new direction of not trying to dissect what's wrong with your marketing, but what are your goals for your business? And you're just not going to sell to everybody. Like there are many calls where we say, hey, totally get it. We're not a fit for you. You don't really need us. And even if they do sign a contract, they're probably going to churn and just take up a lot of time. So it's
Mhm.
focusing on the ones that say the magic words that are a pain point that your solution solves. And if if your solution doesn't solve a pain point, that's a whole nother problem. But when you know your solution solves a pain point, just it's not just getting a yes, which is very hard, but the yes that resonates with that pain point. And that's when, we click and it's great. We know how to sell it, but we also know who to sell to. Let's spend our time selling to lookalikes of this client that have the same problem because we know we solved it.
Right. I think a lot of that comes down to the depth of customer discovery that was done early on before the product was in market or in pilot or whatever it may be. Because, man, I see a lot of founders who are building products searching for a problem to apply their product to instead of building a product specifically around a problem that exists in the market today that hundreds or dozens or thousands of customers have voiced to you in your initial discovery that, hey, if you can build X, Y, and Z product around X, Y, and Z problem, or this workflow for us, we'll buy your product immediately. And I think people get the order of operations for customer discovery wrong quite often. And that's why it takes so long to get your first few customers to then get to product market fit. And I think that's why we see a lot of pivots, because there's not a lot of customer discovery that's done. But not to say that you're pivoting because there's a lack of customer discovery. I think there's also the dynamic of market timing or whatever it may be. So I certainly resonate with that.
Yeah. Um, as you were saying that, William, two things really came to mind. Um, while like no code tools might not be the architecture and foundation to build a big scalable enterprise solution, but we iterate with like features, ideas on no code platforms like Bubble all the time. I wish stuff like that existed a long time ago. Like before we wrote a line of code, uh, a long time ago, I heard a really, really good piece of advice. Act as the technology. You don't need to spend $100,000, $500,000 to build it. Build a front end in an hour and a half, and then you just get a message or a Google form, and you perform the actions and send it back. So doing customer discovery, understanding there was a pain point of law firms pay a lot for marketing, and many don't see any, fruit from it.
Mhm.
Um, Great. Walk us through that process and just keep pulling. Even when you hear something that's painful, keep pulling, understand more and more and more. And then when you feel you have enough to act on, don't go off, raise a big round, and spend all this money, because you still might not be totally spot on. So
Yeah.
build something super lightweight. We built the first version of FirmPilot, I think in 14 days. Yeah, and obviously we're way past that now. But it was just super lean, super fast, testing before we invest in something, because the last thing you want to do is invest that time, invest that money, and it wasn't right.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. You built the first version of the product in 14 days. And I think just when you have a cadence of building and a cadence of shipping products weekly, almost daily, whatever it is, I think that just sets the tone for how the company is going to grow and progress. And I think that's why you in the Firm Pilot team have just seen such great progression throughout 2023. So I'm excited about that. I want to shift the conversation a bit. I think this AI boom now is exploratory for a lot of people. They were once building, in Web3 or in blockchain when those two words were hot. But one of the things that I really liked about our first conversation was that you've been entrenched in the world of AI and NLP for years, including, your time at Rolio. So I want to get into your mind a bit, Jake, around what's different about AI and natural language processing now versus when you were building Rolio some time ago?
Yeah. Um, the technology just moves so fast. Um, and you need to set up a way where you don't get left behind. What used to, like, the type of innovation that used to take years, sometimes even months, was, I don't want to say easy to keep up with, but easier than what it is today. I mean, a new LLM method or tool comes out almost, or update that makes one better than the other, and back and forth almost every week.
Mhm.
Uh, so one of the best things that we've done so far is built a very, very modular architecture. And I'm not just talking about LLMs, but everything we do, even the proprietary pieces that we've built and are building, that we can scrap them, edit them, move them without changing out the whole system. Um, I know that kind of goes against the whole iterative, super quick, scrappy way sometimes, when you're thinking, hey, let's build a good foundation before we build, the really fun, exciting stuff. But it pays off to do it. And once you have some indication of product market fit and you're solving a pain, then it makes more sense. Like, we're now at a place where we are selling. We're not going to slow down, but we're also being bought, which is awesome. People coming inbound. We're getting referrals from customers, so we know we have a good indication that we're on to something. We're not 100% there yet, but we have some good indicators. So now we're ready to invest in that architecture, that foundation, where if there's some new AI thing that comes out, and I can't even think of the word for it in a few weeks or months that no one saw coming, we'll be in a place where we can quickly adapt. I would hate to say, well, we have to scrap everything and start over.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think there's just paramount differences in how technology was deployed just what 2017 was 6 years ago versus now. And I think you and the team are a true testament to how you can build more efficiently, more modular, and achieve success with a small, nimble team. I think the team is pretty lean right now, and you all are
Yeah,
executing high level.
yeah. We are really about talent, building people, building a team that I trust this person to go do something that that I really really want to do myself. But building a team like that
Mhm.
uh, is how you do things quickly. Ironically, not just hiring a huge team and you're spending all this time training and half of them don't work out and you don't build that bond, um, where you can just move like a well-oiled machine. Yeah.
I know the team is pretty lean in nature today, but how do you think about hiring? I know eventually you're going to have to scale the team. We just raised a seed round that we led, but what are your thoughts around hiring? How do you have systematic processes around that? How do you suss out who's really an AI guru or who's not, and who knows their stuff and who doesn't, and a
Yeah.
culture fits as well.
Yeah. Um, so lean on your network. Luckily, like I have a bit of that background, but still, like I'm not an expert like the people we want to hire. We want to hire people that are smarter than us. That's how you keep upping the talent on the team. The average of EQ, IQ should keep going up at all times. Hire people that you think, oh, shoot, this person could take my job. Um, so lean on your network to help vet. We're now looking for a chief of staff. Again, just looking for high performers, grinders. We're hiring mechanics that just can swing a hammer at a high level of execution and just grind and can just figure stuff out and get stuff done, rather than the typical, hey, let's hire a bunch of SDRs, a marketing person, AE, and if it didn't work out, well, why not?
Right.
Hiring high performers and vetting them with your network. So for this chief of staff, we're having our investors vet them. A lot of the roles that we have are investors. Jean-Luc from Valor has been involved in our CTO search. Colin from SaaS Ventures is helping us with our chief of staff. Like these people didn't just give you money. They're really smart people. So rely on them to help vet.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
so true. And shout out to Colin and the team at SAS. We've now co-invested on two deals together. So it's really good to work with those guys and that team. But slowing isn't selling down for you all. You all are still closing customers even here late in December. Um, what is the vision for FirmPilot? I mean, you all are building right now in a $30 billion legal marketing vertical, but what is the grand vision for FirmPilot as the company and technology continues to evolve?
Yeah. There are a couple themes that are super important to us, and we reiterate them all the time in our strategy and leadership meetings. One, simple. Everything should be so simple. We are trying to democratize marketing where it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg, and you don't have to be an absolute expert. We always say as simple as a click.
Mm.
That's the experience we want to build. On top of that, we want to expand horizontally where you don't have to go to all these different vendors and tools and systems. that's where we see this going, is the single OS or a ubiquitous solution for local service-based businesses, everything client growth. The status quo has always been, I'm going to focus on ads for a little. Now I'm going to focus on SEO and website, and maybe I'll do some billboards next quarter. And it's because they're also time consuming and money consuming. Rather, it should be this cohesive, multi-layered, marketing strategy. That's when they work the best, when it's all the wheels on the train running at the same time. And the best part about our data-centric approach is we can use SEO data for billboards, for TV, or TV data for ads. It should all be one and the same. And I kind of just hinted at some of the places that we really want to go with this. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that's one of the things that got us excited as we were, thinking about the company and diligence and digging into the current TAM and the prospective TAM as you do expand horizontally. So I'm excited about that, Jake. How can someone who's listening to the podcast today, get in touch with you or someone on the FirmPilot team? What's the best way to do that?
Ping us anywhere, LinkedIn, email. Like we are inbox addicts. So we check every message. It doesn't matter where you're based or what time it's at. We're crazy in that sense. One of my OCD things is inbox zero, almost to a fault. So I look at it almost every single email. Message us, anyone on our team on LinkedIn. We look. Yeah.
Awesome. Jake, that's a great place to wrap. Appreciate your time, man. And looking forward to supporting you and the FirmPilot team on this journey.
Absolutely. Thank you, William.